Hi, I'm Maggie,
Hi, I'm Grace, and this is
a Very Bookish podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to A Very Bookish Podcast. This is going to be episode 28, and we have a very special guest with us. We have Garrison here. Hi, Garrison. How are you?
Hi, Garrison.
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're good. We're both a little nervous because previous listeners know that we have never had a male guest on this podcast. It's mostly females or non-binary. So it's really interesting, especially since this is our first like smutty book we're talking about. I mean, we've talked about like Akasif, and for those who read books like from Blood and Ash and stuff, those are pretty smutty. But this is like our first like adult romance where it's a hockey romance, and we found Garrison through your page when you posted that viral sensation of a video and claimed you. I think that was so funny that I like looked at those comments and I was like, oh gosh, I have a feeling Book Talk is gonna be here. And then I came back up on my For You page and I was like, what have we done? What have we done?
That's so funny. It's so weird because it's like I posted hockey videos before, but like I've never seen a reaction like that. I'm like, and it was like for you to think that it would happen. I'm like, it just felt so weird seeing like people are talking about this dude. I'm like, I don't know who this dude is. You know, it was like it's kind of weird how that happened.
Yeah, anything with hockey, Book Talk will come to it. Anything with hockey, because hockey. I mean, Elle Kennedy was kind of like blowing up. When I read it, it was like March, so it's kind of been like increasingly steadily. And then you putting that video, and then everybody's like reading it right now, and then everybody's like, he's Garrett, he's Garrett, he's Garrett, he's Garrett. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, that looks like Garrett. And then I was like, oh no. I like that automatically in my head. I was like, oh no, this poor man is gonna get harassed by Book Talk, and the amount of girls that are going to harass this dude into reading a book. And lo and behold, you are here now and you have read the book.
Yep. I actually read it. It's weird because I told people I read it and they didn't believe me. But like I swear I actually read it cover to cover. The first book I've read since I think Diary of a Wimpy Kid. So it's like it's kind of weird, which is like it's an honor for you like Book Talk to be like, yo, this dude actually read the book. So you know.
Yeah. I mean, because like we've had like other people kind of pass through and be like, oh, this is fan casted as so and so from this character, but then like it always goes one way or the other, like people agreeing and people not agreeing, and then the person trying to keep up with the demand but then not wanting to pick up the book, and then you actually did. So props to you because you actually did it.
Yeah, the people who didn't pick it up are missing out. I'm telling you,
we're missing out. It is something.
So my first question for you is going to be like, how did you deal with that when you like saw all those comments? You were what went through your mind when you got all of these comments and then the video blew up? Like, what were you thinking when that happened?
It's so weird because like the skate that I went to make the video, I almost didn't even skate. Like I go there, they say it's sold out. And this dad is like, hey, you know, my kid's here and he's not feeling well. Like you can take a spot. I'm like, okay, thank you. And like, you know, I was like, for that to even happen, I wouldn't even, if that didn't even happen, I wouldn't even be there to make the video. And then when I posted, it's like, I'm like really confused and stuff. Like, who is this dude? I'm like looking up Garrett Graham on Google. Like, is this like an actor or whatever? Like, I'm looking up Briar You. I'm like, is this an actual school? Like I had no idea. And I was like reading the comments, like, what is going on? And stuff. It was like not every comment, but a lot of it was like, who, like, you're this dude. I'm like, I don't know who this dude is. And then I'm like confused. I'm like, is this a bad dude? Is like, what's he like? And then people are like, oh, it's a good guy. I'm like, so like the first thing was like, is this guy actually a good person to be compared about? Because if he's not, I'm, you know, I don't like,
yeah,
I'm like worried, you know, but for everyone to say he was a really like, you know, thoughtful kind of guy, I'm like, okay, I'll take it. But that's pretty much was my head at first, was like, what is Briar U? What is off campus? What is this team? And just kind of like going from piece to piece, and then kind of weird like that.
Yeah. And then you ended up picking it up. Like you just decided on your own to kind of read it after like all of these comments and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, people were saying like to read it, but I was like, it's weird. I'm like the kind of dude who loves watching rom-coms and stuff, like from 80s movies to now and stuff, you know, like all the Netflix originals. And I love hockey, so I was like, I haven't read in a while. I feel like this should be interesting. So I was like, you know what? might as well. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
And I was, I
Yeah.
liked, so pretty much like that.
Well, because like I feel like that's how it is for like most people in general, not just like guys, but like
Mhm.
most guys don't read, girls too. There's a bunch of them that don't read, but then it's just like you have to find something that appeals to you and what you are interested in. And it so happens it was. And
Yeah. It's
I
crazy. What were you gonna say?
I was
did
just
you?
gonna agree with like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy how literally you posted a bunch of hockey videos before, but then this one video, everybody's like,
know.
this is Garrett Graham. This is how Garrett Graham would sing. This looks like Garrett Graham. And then you're like, now you're reading it, and now you're talking about reading the rest of the series. I was on your live right beforehand, so as I was
Yeah.
like eating my like food and stuff, I was like listening to you talk, and you took notes, and I really commend that because I don't think a lot of guys take these kinds of books seriously, and a lot of people don't understand that like the romance industry is like billions of dollars. Sorry, I'm not gonna go all business on you because I am a
No, you're
business
good.
major, but
Same here. It's okay.
yeah, it's like it's a lot of people have a negative connotation when it comes to reading romance, and especially smutty romance. And as we can tell from like Book Talk, the amount of like sales and generated from women readers is a lot. And I think that as a man, you reading it, it shows that like, hey, this is like a normal thing. Like it's not some like
Hmm.
stereotypical woman thing to do. And I really appreciate that because a
Hmm.
lot of guys are like, oh, ooh. I mean, I get it all the time.
I mean, yeah, not at all. I also think that one of the biggest things, I've said this a lot, it's written in the guy's perspective and
Yeah.
like the woman's perspective. And I'm not kidding when I tell you this. I've sent screenshots like the text, when he's like going through stuff mentally to my friend, and they can't believe that it was written by like a woman or whatever,
Right.
because it's so spot on. So it's like having that aspect of, guys can relate instead of like 400 pages talking about how hot this dude is or hot a dude is or whatever. It's kind of nice to be able to see both sides. And I think that's why a lot of dudes should read it. And with something like I liked a lot, because it would have been a much different read, if it was just written by Wellesley, but so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you refer to her to her nickname. I love that. And that shows that you actually read it. If you hadn't have read that, you wouldn't have known that that's her nickname. Grace is
And
just
that's such a hockey thing to do too. They add like Y, or like people would call me like Dunsey, not too many times, but they just add an S or a Y, and then it's your name. It's like it's
Yeah.
such a hockey thing. So
that's kind of great.
That was pretty cute. I like it. That was pretty
thank
cute.
you, thank you.
You're charming Grace over here.
Look. Sheesh. What question? I completely spaced on my question now. Dang it. Okay. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Dual point of view. Gosh, dual point of view. That's like a big thing for me. Because like I didn't really read a lot of romance before like a month ago. And now I'm reading more, and it's only the books that have like the guy's point of view, because like I feel like the guy's point of view is like so much more interesting. Like, yeah, I'm in a girl's head all the time, I kind of want to see what a guy's thinking. And for you to kind of say that like a lot of the stuff that was written in Garrison's point,
That is
I think that's the ultimate compliment that she literally.
I was about to say.
I think what Grace is trying to
Garrett's point of view is relatable to guys is pretty interesting, and it just makes me like it more. Gosh, Maggie, please say something.
Yeah, so I read a lot of romance. Like I have like my whole shelf of like adult romance over here. And I do say that like having the guy's point of view is a lot, it's more insightful, I feel like, because and it's also written by a woman, and guys written by women are always better. I'm sorry. Always better when it's written from a woman's perspective. But like my question is like you said like it was very like spot on for what you thought about. So is that how you felt like the entire book? You're like, holy cow. It's like did it feel like it was written by like a guy?
It's okay.
It's
Yeah.
good. He's his something.
Can you hear me? My
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, you're good.
I don't know why my headphones just disconnected. If
Oh,
it's
you're
too
good.
bad, okay, because I don't want like the background noise and stuff.
Oh, you're good.
I'm good though.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, it was weirdly spot on, especially from the stuff of like the small things to like, yo, this dude doesn't want girlfriend or whatever, which is a lot of guys. And then they keep telling themselves like, dude, I don't want one, I don't want one. And then they meet like the right person, and then it all changes. Like I think that was spot on too. And that's not even just the big thing, but just like the stuff that, you know, when he would talk about her singing voice, a lot of the little things that a guy notices about girls and stuff is kind of like also spot on, you know, of like that part. And I also like how also the hockey points too, in the guy's point of view as well, because it's like different and stuff. But it was weird because I'm like sending this to my friends. I'm like this is like kind of, I'm like, she had to have talked to, like she had to have co-wrote this. I'm like, what is so weird going on? You know, like one quote I have is that it was kind of like spot on, was like, men are all about the chase, and then it's like a woman who's out of reach, like people want what they can't have. I'm like, dang, like it's kind of weird how close that was. But
I think that's a very common trope of like having what you can't have. But
Oh, yeah.
I agree that like it was weird because I was reading it and I have to say, like, sometimes for Elle Kennedy's books, like the girl's point of view is very like, I get annoyed, but like the guy's perspective, I'm always like, I'm speed reading through like Hannah's, Grace's, or like Allie's. Sabrina I didn't like, but we're not going to talk about that. There's perspectives just to get to the perspectives of the guys, because I felt like Elle Kennedy did really well with writing them, and I think that's why the series is enjoyable, because let's be honest, it's not about the women, it's about the men. Like they're really well written, I feel like.
Yeah.
really well written.
So since you do have your notes, I wanted to ask you, like, what was your favorite scene from the book?
All right, so I do have this written down because I feel like I have a lot of favorite scenes, but like probably my number one, and I thought about this for a while, and it's the bar scene, which it's so important to the script, not important to the story, but it's so influential. It's like it's just like when she lets her guard down and stuff, because again, for how messed up her past was, it's like, you know, I can never relate to what someone has gone through. So it's, you know, and neither has Garrett. So when he's reading, it's like, dang, like, what do I need to do and try and help her? You know, and the first time she can really like drink in front of him and stuff. And then there was a slow dance scene and everything. And I thought it was perfect, just because I think Hannah in her was like, head was like, all right, this dude, I can actually trust him, just because of the dudes that Hannah's run into previously was, I mean, I don't blame her of why she's, you know, can't really trust a lot of people. But I think I like that a lot. And just from the whole scene with the thing about his mom and as well. And I was like, dang, I really like this a lot. I mean, I love the hockey scenes. I kind of wish there was more.
Yeah.
I'll talk on that later. But the bar scene, I was like, it was just really good. I liked it a lot, you know.
So Grace is like smiling because that's exactly her favorite scene as well. Like we literally like were discussing before you hopped on. We were like, okay, which are our favorite scenes? And Grace is like, the bar scene, of course. Like I could pick out which scenes are Grace's favorite, and the bar scene is definitely that. I think what's important about that scene is like seeing it from a guy, like reading a guy's perspective on like what a lot of women go through, and like a lot of like traumatic things that happen to women on a daily basis, and to see like a guy deal with that effectively, I think was a very important thing. And like to have more guys read about that, I bet would help in the future. Like
So,
I bet like if you read it and you're like, oh, this might be interesting to use in the future, like, hey, listen to your partner and listen to that, like, yeah, they have a past and stuff, but you can also be very gentle and help them through that without being too overly pushy. I think that's why I liked Garrett. I mean, I did put him really low on my ratings, but I got so much, I got really a lot of hate for that. I like rated all the men and I think I put him like 5th, and everybody like came for me.
yeah. I mean, the other dude's got to be good, so it makes me want to read the rest now.
Yes, Fitz was my favorite. So you haven't met him yet. He's Briar U.
Okay.
But I think it was like really important when I first read it. I was like, it's that scene was integral, I think, to their development of their relationship, and the fact that like Hannah could finally not only just trust Garrett, but like anybody in her life now. She's finally letting her walls down and she's kind of freeing herself. And the fact that Garrett helps her through that, I think, was beautiful.
And
Yeah.
the team too. She's got to trust the team, because
Yeah.
it's, you know, I mean, such an important part of relationships is also being friends with her friends and stuff. Like at the end, I think Garrett's like, I can't believe my friends are hanging out with her friends, which is
Yeah.
it's like if that scene doesn't happen, if she's not comfortable to drink and stuff in front of the team, then it's kind of a really tough position because your friends are kind of like part of who you are in a sense, so it's like it's nice that she was able to feel comfortable around him and his friends and vice versa.
Yeah, you're pretty spot on. I mean, I say this all the time, how important that is when you get into a relationship and your friends are there. You are not just getting into a relationship with that person, you're getting into a relationship with all their friends because their friends are integral to who they are. The people who they hang out with, the people who they surround themselves with are pieces of them. And if you can't find yourself at least being cordial with everybody around them, then you really don't have any business being with that person
100%.
because that's them also. So yeah, that's a good point. Good
Yeah.
job.
I think that's very interesting. Like the idea that like I have always like had like some of my relationships where I've kept it separate. So like I had like a relationship, but then I had like my friend group versus like my roommate and I got her boyfriend and I have been like they're like my parents now where it's like we're all in a group chat together and we all talk together and stuff. And I think that's very integral of like being able to like be friends with your significant others, like
Yeah.
like the partners and like having that like friendship group that you'll see by the end of the score, the amount of like camaraderie there is. And I think that also has to deal with like hockey and like it's a very like camaraderie sport. So one of my questions was the scenes for like the games and stuff, how well described was it to real life? Like were you like, oh my gosh, this sounds like she is playing hockey right now? Like what did you think about that?
It's crazy because I told my friends and stuff. It felt like an announcer was kind of explaining it in a
Oh, wow.
sense. I also this part wasn't about the scene or it wasn't about hockey, but it was kind of in a sense it's it. He said, "I live for the roar of the crowd, the crisp air chili in my face as I go down the ice and stuff." It was really spot on. Of how he goes around this player and stuff, and that's really tough to do. In any author, I says like, even if you are a hockey player, just because so much happens at the same time,
Yeah.
and there could be a play like, I could go in a rush with my friend or whatever, but in my head, I'm like thinking completely something else. And it's interesting to not only see what Garrett was thinking going as he played the games, but also after the games, like in the showers and why is the first one? But just like in the locker room and stuff, because that's also really part of the games and stuff. And I'm glad she added all that stuff because it's really it's you can't just it's not just the game, it's all the other stuff,
Yeah.
buses and everything, and that was it's really spot on. Just the plays and how descriptive it was. I was like, damn, this is pretty good. I was genuinely impressed.
That's good because, like, I know. Well, I played sports all growing up and stuff, and it always kind of gets to me. Like every time I watch a movie or if I am looking up something, watching a TV show about that sport, I'm kind of like, that doesn't feel like part of like the sport. It feels like somebody who's trying to be part of it, but it's always nice when like it's like completely spot on, like that's exactly how it feels to like go after to feel in the stadium, the people in the stands, all of that feeling. It's like it's very rare for an author or for a director or anybody to be able to like convey that same feeling that like an athlete would
Yeah.
feel
It's so
playing
hard.
sport.
It's
It's
so
the
hard.
adrenaline rush, the adrenaline of like having people like watch you and cheer for you. Like I played sports, but I did more of like I did marching band. So it's a little different, but it's the same in the sense that like I was in a stadium, I was being watched, I went on like competitions and stuff, and it's that adrenaline rush of like feeling that like not just like the power and like showing people that like you have a passion and them enjoying it. I think that is also like one of the highlights of like this book is like the guys truly enjoy what they're doing and you can see it through their point of perspective. Like it's their life, it's something that they love to do, and they wouldn't do anything for it like if push comes to shove and they have to choose something. And Oh, I'm not gonna wait. I almost just spoiled a book. I could not.
Okay, hey,
I almost
You're
just.
almost there. I was like, wait. Are we getting somewhere?
I am really bad at spoiling books, so I'm very glad that I caught myself on that.
You're good. That's respect because it's also like you guys are past me and everything.
I read the
I just finished the series, so it took me a little while to get through it, so
Yeah.
not that bad.
It's
I
also
read-
the team aspect too. You know, like even though marching band as well, you're still have everyone's backs and everything. You know, if something goes wrong, someone plays the wrong note or something like that, or you still got to make up for the mistakes and carry on and act like nothing happened, which is tough. But
yeah. I mean, I didn't play an instrument, but yeah, I was a color guard. I was color guard, so I was like the people who dance with the flags and stuff.
Yeah.
That's who I was.
Oh.
I mean, it was hard. Trust me, my toes broken after that. But
Right.
so my question is we're gonna get into like little more detail. Is what was your favorite? We like to say spicy because we don't like to say like sex scene or something like that. Like it refers to as like smutty book talk or like spicy scenes. So if you don't mind me asking, what was your favorite spicy scene? Because everyone's gonna want to know what was your favorite spicy scene.
it's so funny because people were saying smut in the comments. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Like, I had to
Yeah.
Google that.
So glad I could explain it to you. This is a smutty book series. So smutty is like those like not really for the plot. It's more for the relationships and things that happen, the sex scenes in the relationship.
Yeah.
I like how Grace is like, oh God. And then I
It's
moved
so
to like
important though.
Yeah.
It's so important. Just
Yeah.
because, especially in this story, because
Yeah.
for her, Hannah, again with her terrible past, she felt broken, which is really, really sad. So I would say I like the scene a lot when they like kind of like not go all the way, but she wants to, and Garrett's like, no,
No.
stop. Just because, listen, like I know you want to and everything, but we're taking slow steps at a time, which number one, there's not a lot of dudes that do that, which
Yeah.
it's messed up. Obviously. But for her to be like, or the Garrett to be like, yo, let's take it slow and everything. And just for her to, because that's like such a hill to overcome.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I really like that a lot. Just of when they were able to, even though it felt like, I was like, I can't imagine doing this in real life. Like, like the girl and the guy just like, like
On
doing
their own.
Yeah,
like in the same room, kind of like, like
Yeah.
Look,
It's
that
common.
scene.
It's common in a lot of books for that to happen, but especially that scene where Hannah wants to, but Garrett realizes that like it's not the right time. And the fact that like I really appreciated that, like I don't think a lot of guys do that, where it's like somebody who has gone through that, like
Yeah.
I'm
even
gonna be
without,
honest.
you don't even have to go through
Yeah.
that and stuff.
But
Yeah.
a lot of women who experience sexual assault and stuff, they are hypersexualized, and not in the sense that other people hypersexualize them, but it's in order to work through traumatic experiences of sexual assault, women will experience a high sex drive, and and that's normal. It's a normal psychological thing that happens. But like when Garrett is like taking it slow and like building this relationship and stuff, I think that was the most beautiful, like I'm gonna say beautifully written sex scene where it's like they're not having sex, but it's that like intimacy of like, hey, like I want to do this, but like you aren't ready and our relationship isn't ready for this. We wanted to take it slow. And the fact that you like pointed that out, I think really like, damn, good on you.
Thank you.
Gosh, you're just gaining points this whole episode. Wow.
I was nervous. I was like, I don't know what scenes he's gonna pick out that he likes. You're tallying up to winning me over.
Because again, it's so funny. There's like a quote, it's something like hockey players are horny or whatever, and something like that. And it's shown in the beginning when he like hooks up with I can't remember, whatever.
Yeah,
there's like
exactly.
like the pizza milk, whatever milk thing, whatever. I thought that was funny. But it's like obviously this dude who's like, again, like NCAA D1, one of the best players in the country potentially. All eyes are on him. Like he could, go around and stuff, and which he did before, even when they were kind of like talking or whatever. But for him to be like, yo, like let's take a break, just because again, that showed a lot on his character. Even the part when she was really like hammered and stuff. Again, that's I shouldn't even have to mention. It's should be common sense to like not do that. But I'm glad they included that just to have that in. But it was so important just to slow down and stuff, because again sex, I mean, he did it a couple times in the beginning of the book, but it's when you slow down and actually get to know the person and, go really in detail of kind of like their past life or anything, it makes it even better.
It's more intimate.
It's not just like a one kind of like one night stand, kind of like, oh, like sex, cool. It's way more intimate and stuff. And I think it helps relationships. I don't know, but
Elle Kennedy does this where she kind of, yes, a lot of the boys, once you get to Dean and Logan, you'll see that like sex is they're very active sex life and stuff, but once they meet the right one, it's like they realize that it's not all just about like sex. It's also like that intimacy and like learning your partner and stuff. And I think a lot of guys today don't realize that. Grace and I literally had this conversation earlier where we were like, guys always like, even I notice this like in the dating world and stuff. It's like they always notice like the physicality of it and stuff, but it's like they don't try to get to know you. And like in these books, the guys like genuinely want to know like the main character, the girl main character. Like they always are trying to like get to know her more. Like they want that, and I think that's very important for men to like realize. Like read that and learn because.
Oh yeah.
Like I want a guy to like tell me like, hey, like what are you into? Like I'm not gonna give you the books I'm reading, but like, hey, what are your interests? Like, what has gone on in your life that makes you this crazy bitch that you are? And I'll be happy to explain myself.
Because everyone has stuff that either they want to share and don't. Because also too, a lot of this stuff. I mean, like one night's again from Garrett's perspective, it's like when he gets to know Hannah more, and it's just more passionate and everything. And he's like, oh, whoa, there's stuff. That I was like, okay, Hannah. Okay, like I was not expecting just like but it makes it more like plus it's sex is just like for him and in general it's kind of like I don't know there's an official term, but it's more than just like the action, and there's so much stuff goes behind it. I'm glad that he was able to take it slow and everything, but because that's so important.
Yeah. And like even though like they didn't end up having sex that one time, being in the same room and getting each other off, just being there, like I think that some guys, not all, but some guys out there, like they're just like, okay, this is the only thing that feels good for women, but it's just like, no, like women want more. We like about the connection,
the trust. It's the trust and the vulnerability that I think like again, Elle Kennedy does this in a lot of her books where the guys show this like vulnerable side that a lot of us women don't experience. Like, and it's very relieving to see a guy like be honest and like be emotional and stuff, because there is this idea that like men have to be strong and like you can't share stuff, and it's like, well, I want to know your traumatic past. Like I got fucked up shit in my life too. I need to relate to somebody.
Yeah. Especially for this smut stuff too. A lot of dudes go too quickly and stuff in the active sex, and it's nice that he was kind of like foreplay, I guess, like taking it slow and everything, because that's really, again, I don't know what you girls think, but it helped reading, like knowing what Hannah was thinking, like that was interesting to hear. But it's like for him to like go slow and kind of like, because it's
so
like
you're taking notes. You're taking notes. I'm hearing.
Clearly he has his whole notepad right there. Of course he's taking notes. It's okay.
It's nice how he showed is important, because it's like builds attraction and everything. So.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm hearing from this little section right here is that like every guy should at least read one romance book ever, just for reference, just
I have a whole list of books that my significant other is gonna have to read for them to understand what I want and what I expect.
Right.
But I saw a video. It was like everyone read this book. I don't want to hear how guys don't know how to treat a woman. I'm like, well, fuck. I mean, sorry. I don't know if I can swear. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
But they were like, read it. And all the comments, I was like, okay, like I'm reading it. I'm telling my friends to read it too.
Oh my gosh,
it's gonna be funny.
Yeah. So you're planning on reading. I was again watching your live while I was getting ready, and I was like, so you're planning on reading the rest of Off Campus. Do you plan on reading Briar U?
I'm not sure. Probably. I mean, might as well. I mean, just to know more about it. And it's not like I read it. Oh, see.
It's okay.
It's not like I read a lot before. So it's also being able to go at my own pace, not having a teacher force me.
Yeah.
Probably. If the books are good, I mean, I'm gonna keep reading just because, I don't have to take a test or
Yeah.
have, an essay, because I feel like that kind of ruined reading for me, and I'm sure a lot of other
Yeah.
as well. So I probably will read the other series.
Yeah, I read all 8 books in 4 days. So
That's excessive. Okay, that's excessive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm a college student too, yes. And this was in March when we had like our spring break kind of thing. So like I was doing nothing for like a full week, and I was like, it was all over TikTok, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll get it for free. The first book is free.
Mhm.
I'll read it. And then I was like, I need Logan's book. And then after Logan, I was like, I need Dean's book. And then I got to Tucker, and I was like, okay. And it fits.
Look,
I
That's excessive though. Like she reads fast
read
for
fast.
anyone. Me, I took my time with it. So don't feel like you got to measure
Yeah, do
out.
not. That's one thing I like think we wanted to talk about. Like, don't feel pressured to read it. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of like we know that you're getting a lot of pressure to like read this book, and you kind of book talk was like, read this book. You need to. You are Garrett. Like, fan
Mhm.
casted you as Garrett and stuff. But like, don't feel like you have to. I think that's very common in the book talk community. Like for regular like creators and stuff in the community is to like feel this immense of pressure from our audiences to read certain books and to like the book. Like it's okay not to like it. You might get a little hate. I'm not gonna lie. I got slandered for hating on Tucker and Garrett. I got wrecked. I put
How did
Tucker
you
last.
how did you hit on Garrett? Were the other characters just that much better, or like,
Mm,
or does it? Because I heard they're also talked about in the other books, so maybe stuff changes.
No, so
no,
like
no. He's good.
he's
Garrett
good.
is
I think I'm gonna redo it because she has convinced me to like him more, and then our mutual friend Tish has convinced me, and like our other friends are reading it. I got you all into reading this, and I'm very proud of myself. But
Yeah,
it was just I read other books, and I did it like immediately after finishing other books. So
Mhm.
he was like the first one I read. So it was like 5 days before, and I was like, I kind of forgot what it was about for like a hot minute. So I was like, he'll be 5. And then people came for me, and I was like,
Because
Alright.
Garrett, he's the sweet one out of everybody.
teddy bear.
He's a nice one. He's the one that listens, and those 2 pretty intimate scenes with Hannah, and they're like the OG couple. But it's kind of like I feel like why people might not like him as the top one is because it's like they are the it couple, and it's kind of like, well, if you like them, then of course you like them. How could you not like them? It's kind of like
Oh, okay.
boring if you
I
like
got
them,
Yeah.
So it's more like to have flavor, you have to like someone else.
Mhm.
But Garrett's a great guy. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's very swoon worthy, and I wish I met Garrett in real life who would actually take it slow and listen to me. But
Talk about scenes. That car scene. I was not expecting that. What the- Especially after a game, like dude's cardio is done. Dude like skated 20 minutes in a game. Like he's tired. And then I was just like on the highway, and then apparently they were like on the shoulder on the highway. It's like, bro,
I mean,
it's bold, but I mean,
I
I
mean,
can't hate against it.
yeah. I mean, let
yeah,
me share stories
it was
there.
written by a woman. That's all we can say is it was written by a woman. So
That just goes to show you that like women like spontaneity.
yeah,
Down for wherever.
No
yeah.
On the
comparison.
guy, depending.
Yeah, it really depends on the partner, I think.
Depending.
So one of the questions that I have from our Instagram is, what similarities do you see between Garrett and yourself?
Actually might have predicted it. I wrote some down just because I thought.
Oh,
Oh yeah, of course.
So in a sense, like there's some things that me and him um connected on, and others that he's actually like, I don't know, it sounds so dumb, but like not inspiring me, but like, like helping me do.
Yeah.
His perseverance was really crazy. Like I'll be honest, like she kept saying no so many times and stuff, but he knew, he's like, dude, like number one, if I don't get an A, I'm gonna fail or whatever. Perseverance, I think me and him kind of share a similar stuff like that. And we kind of, I guess I like being single. I haven't really had like a real kind of relationship in a sense. So I guess I can kind of relate to them on that. You know, it's nice being single. You know, you don't really have any like too much pressure. You kind of
It's amazing to be single. I can vouch for you. It's great to be single. Grace is
Mhm.
looking for like a relationship and stuff, and I'm like, nope,
I'm looking.
nope.
At the time. To be fair, I've been single for a while, so
It's okay.
you
I've
go
been
through a
single
cycle
longer
of
than
like
you have.
loving.
I have been single longer than you have, so
Yeah,
don't come for me,
yeah,
Grace. But yeah, I definitely agree with like this being single. I related to Garrett with that. I was like, I don't
yeah.
want to be in a relationship right now. I mean, I can't handle people, so that's why I don't.
Yeah.
So
Especially with hockey, that like me and him, like also him and I, sorry, uh, but also would really connect. You know, because hockey's been my life pretty much my entire life ever since I moved. And it's kind of crazy. It's, you know, you just train all day. And I've met all my friends from now and stuff have been through hockey. So it's, and I think that's a lot of hockey players as well. But him and I like really connected on that. Also, just taking it slow. I liked a lot, again, like I said earlier, how he does that. I kind of do a similar way in a sense. um, but also one thing that I liked a lot what he said was he kind of wanted to be like, let's just be friends and stuff. Like, hey, like just tutor me and stuff till I get this A. In his head, he's like, yo, like I kind of see it in a way. So he kind of like they kind of friend zone each other, I feel.
Yeah.
But you know, which is something that that's really smart. He's a smart guy. Um, but also just his determination and, you know, kind of wanting to prove people wrong in a sense. Like his everyone thinks that he's just a mold of his father.
Mhm.
And, you know, like he's, you know, oh, he's only there for his father, especially in the hockey community now. It's, they call it like, oh, he's just on the team because he knows people or anything. So just wanting to prove people wrong, I kind of connected with a lot. And also just, yeah, his work ethic. And again, the other smaller stuff, the nicknames, I like that too. um Everything, I'm trying to remember, but just a lot of small things that him and I was like, that's something I would probably do in that situation, you know. uh
Yeah. The
so
friend zoning thing was like really, it's funny
it's a
to me.
common trope. It's a very
Yeah.
common trope in romances to do that. Is there anything that you didn't like from Garrett that you were like, dude, come on? Or is there anything where you were just like, I would never like? Was there any point in the book that happened?
Again, in a sense, with like the perseverance, it's both sides. Because if a girl tells me no a lot, like if a girl tells me no, not once but twice, like, all right, she doesn't want, like, what, it doesn't
Yeah.
want me, it's fine, like I'll leave her alone. Probably not. I probably would not have kept asking her over and over and over, especially because, you know, I mean, she was kind of like harsh at the beginning, you know. And again, he just wanted his grade, but that's probably something, again, I probably wouldn't have done. Even though, again, it all worked out in the end. But that's something I was like, yo, like that's,
It was a little stalkery-ish,
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of, I was like,
especially
I
showing up to
don't
her work. When he showed up to where she worked, and you're like, I
know.
when he did that, I was like, dude, like find a pay it for a tutor. You got the money to pay for a tutor.
I know. I was like, you could have anyone ever in the entire campus do it. But I think it's just he, like, again, he liked the chase of it.
Yeah.
Weird, but it's, I don't know, because again, if someone doesn't want to hang out with you, if you tell them no multiple times, you're like, you probably won't change your mind. And also too, that I'm surprised. So they were dating for, I think it was like 2 or 3 months maybe, and then they split up. And then there was like a month of that break they didn't, like, they were broken up with. And he kind of like, he did the hands off thing, which is interesting. So that was like an interesting thing, just because I mean, they were dating 3 months, and again, the dude's a hockey player. He's gotten around with, you know, a lot of girls, but I guess he's thinking in his head, I could have dated her for 2 years. A month doesn't matter. I don't want anyone else to date her. Which I was like, yo, that's kind of crazy. I'll be
Okay.
honest. But
Yeah. Because like, so I was talking about this earlier with like another friend of mine, and those like the fact that he was like so pushy at the beginning, I was kind of like, okay, if a guy in real life ever did that, I'd be like completely turned off from it.
Yeah, 100%.
You
I would
know?
get a restraining order.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure, you
I
know?
would
Bro, she
I'm
said no. Get the
showing up at my place of work. Like I've had that happen where some guy showed up at my place of work and I was like, I mean, he was a customer and he'd continued to do it. And I'm like, I'm
I was
like,
like,
dude,
no.
I work at a Barnes and Noble in the middle of Kansas. You do not need to be following me around.
Like, no. But then like, and then with like the off campus, like nobody could date her thing, like it was like it's like this thing. If she did not feel anything about him,
Mhm.
like if she was not attracted to him, did not love him, whatever, that would come off super stalkery. Like it was just like, that's not it, right? But because she did like him, it's kind of like, damn, like he cares that much about me to do this.
Yeah.
And so that's why it like, sheesh, I can't even remember what episode this was, but it was like in How You Met Your Mother.
Oh,
And I think like Barney was like explaining that it has to be like a certain ratio of like how you guys like each other.
Mhm.
And if you don't reciprocate those feelings,
Yeah.
whatever you do, grand gestures or anything, will come off as like really serial killer vibes
Yeah.
because the person's not attracted. Like if a guy pulled up to your house with a whole bunch of flowers and chocolates and stuff, yeah, you would think it's cute. But if you didn't like him, it'd be like, why are you at my house?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and the reason why I think he did it, number one, obviously he liked her a lot, but he kept asking her because remember, in his head, she broke up with me because she wanted to see other people when we were going too fast, which
Right.
hurts. But
mhm.
you know, so when he kind of was like, hey, like you still seeing other people, she's like, oh, she kind of like played it off like, oh, I kind of am, and then
Yeah.
it goes to her chapter, which is why again why I love the both chapter thing or the
Yeah.
both sides. God, I really like this guy. I don't want to see other people, but I have to. Like, it's so weird on how that part, in a sense, because he kept checking up. He's like, "Yo, are you seeing other people?" And I guarantee you, obviously, he didn't. There's no way. I don't think he. Again, I don't think he did anything with a girl. I don't think they said
No.
it out, but I don't believe. I don't think he
it was
would.
it was like they're separated, but they still wanted each other, so they didn't do anything else, even though they said they would do things. Like Hannah was like, "I'm gonna be with other people," but then she's like, "Well, I can't because I like Garrett too much," and she's like, "It just feels that weird where it's like I need a break and like I need to put myself out there," but then it's like she's also like, "Well, wait, no, I can't." Like it's like that push and
Mhm.
pull of like I don't want this, but then like I do, and they're both like, "Oh, we're gonna see other people." Garrett's not. Garrett's like full on
Sure.
in love with
He
Hannah.
still thought like he's like, yeah, I think we were dating. I didn't think we broke up at all. In a sense, he thought it was just, you know, he thought they were
Taking
still
some
together.
separate time apart, but we're still together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Like it. That's why I think Garrett is like on my tops of my. I have two on top, but he's not my top one. But he's up there because he at first he really didn't know anything about her. He barely knew her name. He
Yeah.
didn't really care about her. And then like through him like pursuing her, he found out more about her and found out like, you know, her trauma and everything, but then made her trust him. And then through that connection, he essentially started knowing her better than she knew herself. And she was just like, he was like, I know for a fact that this whole we need space, we're moving too fast is bullshit. But I'm gonna let you go and
He
do
knew it too, which is
it.
freaking amazing. He knew it.
Oh
He
man.
said you lied to me. And then she's like, no, I didn't. I went too fast. And then she's like, oh, we need to see other people. And he's like, no. It was like,
yeah, I there's definitely this debate on Book Talk about
Like,
Book Talk about like the idea that like the hands-off thing that Garrett did and people are
yeah.
like, is that really what he should have done? But then I'm like on both sides where like if a guy did that, I would pull
Exactly.
out like slap a bitch. Like this guy has no control over me and who I date after we've broken up and stuff. But then like I'm also like, well, he
the
knows
rebound.
her better than she knows
Yeah.
herself. And it's like he knows that she's lying to herself and to him. And
Mhm.
so he's like, I'm not gonna give her the opportunity, but it's like it shows that he cares, that he's like, I still want you. And it's like every woman wants that.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially again, like we talked about earlier about the sex thing, because there was the one scene of him at the party, and she says, I really like seeing you, and he says, what's my favorite color? Just something how the random girl had no idea anything about him. And again, they hook up, the sex could be amazing, whatever,
Right.
but it still wasn't even as close to him and Hannah, even though they never had sex again at that point. It just showed. I
It's
think
the
that scene was also really
Yeah,
important.
because she didn't even actually know his favorite color through him
Oh, yeah.
telling her. She knew just by being around him and paying attention to him. And I was like, damn, that was pretty smooth.
I need that.
Man, because like, had I gone up to a guy and like guessed the color, like out of my ass, it would have been like, damn, that's embarrassing if it wasn't it. But because she was paying attention to him, she knew him, she knew what he was like, even though she didn't want to be around him. She knew more about him than whoever he was hooking up with. And that should have told her right away that she was like different to him.
Yeah.
He knew it for sure. And I think that's why I like the guy's point of views too, is because like they realize how they feel about the girl so early on, before like them telling the girl, like saying I love you, you know, they realize it in the smallest ways earlier. And like he realized he was down for her way before anything really happened. Like I think it was like the first time that Logan asked, oh, like, is she
That
single?
was so spot on. That
I
was
was like,
talk about relating to Garrett. That was so spot on.
okay, my question is, so like there's this like common trope of like
yeah.
he's like, no, we're not together, and then like his friends asking, well, is she single? And then the guy's like, no, like
No.
you can't have her. Does that happen in real life? Like, has that ever
We gotta know.
like we have to know?
It does. I'm not the one. If a dude's talking to a girl, I'm not the. I don't. Again, hanging out with dudes' exes off limits. Number one. But even that, I would never have done what Logan said. Like, yo, is she single? That's just. It's just so low.
So
And even Garrett was so. Again, he's like, I really like this girl. Like, and I'm best friends with this dude. I do not want to see him together. Which that does. Unfortunately, it pains me to say, but I've seen.
so um
Yeah.
once you read Logan's book, The Mistake is next. You'll understand why Logan is the way he is, and that's Logan and Logan's book is just
Hey, you gotta give Logan props though, because like when Wellesley and Garrett break up, Logan is the one that tells him she's going out with somebody. Like if he was like a real like, you know, like didn't care about Garrett, was not a real friend for him.
Right.
Like yeah, he asked like if she was gonna go way earlier. Then he realized, you know, there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
That at that moment when they were broken up, he didn't have to tell his friend, but because he was such a good friend, because they were like so down and out for each other, because they were brothers, he's just like, I gotta tell you, even though I like her and you know that I like her,
Yeah,
letting you
that's
know.
talk about character development. That's huge.
Yeah.
Especially because when he says she broke up with me, and he says, "What happened?" I don't care. Maybe if I get like fucked up, I'll tell you. That's something a boy would do. So,
Yeah.
they definitely-
Yeah.
well, I think also Logan asked because it's like it's a plot point where it's like you realize like Garrett's in love with her. Like at that point, you're like, oh, he's fallen hard.
Oh, yeah.
But it also shows Garrett that what he feels because it's like, oh, another man is like trying to get with somebody that I like. Like, no, like no. I
This is
thought
not
that it's so common to happen in like these like romance things where it's like the
Mhm.
guy won't admit it to himself until somebody else like pops into the picture and they're like, ho ho ho. Like
Yeah.
Garrett's
Yeah.
very possessive.
Even though again what you said earlier, saying I love you without saying I love you, just in the fact, I think there was a scene there outside of a party, and he says, I'm taking you home, or whatever, and she says, no, are you sure? He's like, no, I'm gonna take you home and drop you off, in a sense, just because he really cared about like her, and her well-being, you know, just kind of
Yeah.
like, in a sense, and you know, wanting to see a future with her. So
Yeah, for sure.
just like the little things like that.
It's those little things of like it's the wanting to care for her and the safety of her. I think that it hits like really hard where it's like he genuinely is he's not doing this to like get with her or anything. He's like it genuinely cares for it, and that's what I think a lot of like guys forget is like it's those small things where it's like you don't have to be like this like ripped. Like, yes, he's a hockey player and he's ripped and stuff. We all see the cover. I mean the ebook cover, not the physical covers, but it's like a lot of guys forget that it's also those like small little details of like remembering what she likes, or like showing a little bit of yourself, or showing that you care, like not
Yeah.
just showing it, like proving it, and instead of saying it, like those little tiny things that like it's Elle Kennedy is good at writing those like tiny little things that guys sometimes miss in real life.
Yeah, even saying, "Hey, you're really talented. You can do this by yourself." And she needed that too.
Yeah.
Talking about the song, um, she needed that, because she really didn't have any other perspectives other than her close friends. And Mary Jane was close, but she wasn't really a viable option to talk about it. And even Hannah talks about later. She says, this is the first song that I even performed for Garrett. So just him saying, it's like, yo, like, I need to hear the song, just like the small stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were broken up and he still showed up to the recital.
That's
Oh,
she was living in his mind rent free, which again, something that unfortunately him and I share. But
Well,
we're
so
sips.
look,
Fun.
that's a good thing, okay?
good.
But simping for the right one, that's the
Exactly, yeah.
key. That's the key for sure.
So, another question is, how did you feel about like the dad, like the plot, like this subplot of like the dad and the money issue and stuff? How did you feel about that in the
Oh, yeah.
revelation in the end?
It's crazy because I know that happens in real life. I've unfortunately seen some of it because kids quit. I've heard kids quit the game just
Mhm.
because of their parents or their coaches, being physically abused or anything. And again, I'm also trying to think of it big picture. Like NCAA D1, everyone's eyes on him. Yeah,
Mhm.
gets asked for his autographs all the time, and being that he knew he wanted, was like, I need to separate from this man because I don't want people to think that the stuff that my dad does off the ice, how he treats other people, is anything that I am. And even he thought he was. So I swear I'm not that kind of person. He was trying to reassure himself because, hockey players, they get penalties like that of retaliatory penalties. Someone hits you hard and you go back and hit them again, and you're the one getting in trouble. And he really thought, but for him to save up the money and just getting like, dude, get out of my life is awesome, just because not only him and Hannah it could be together, but it was the perfect. And it was, dude, you show up to all my games. Talk about again, dude has not missed a game.
Right.
But it blows my mind how someone as a dad could do that, could abuse his kids and then think that nothing's wrong with it, and then also abuse other women. It blows my mind. But it was nice. It was so nice to hear of how he had everything saved up, and just he says, "Yo, he was on the phone with me for a while. There's nothing he could do."
Yeah.
But it was nice because he was really stuck, but also the also thing that, again, it kind of is a smaller thing. If he's playing D1, I'm sure he has a hockey scholarship. Some of these dudes get full rides, but again, it's not. You need that out just so it pertains to the story of how he's trying to get away with his dad. But because I know they said there's no academics because of how much they have, and maybe that could have tied into it. But it was so nice to hear that he's just, I'm done. Get out
Yeah.
of life. Because the fact that he went up to Hannah and threatened, that is sick.
Dude, I was
Yeah.
like, when that scene happened, I knew something was gonna happen with the dad, because I'm like, there's no way that like it's building up that he's always around, and the money and all of that, it's building up to something. And so when he showed up at her job, I was like, damn, here we go. Here we go. And like, so like when I was reading it through the first time, I thought he was going to say, you break up with him right now and I'll pay all of your family's legal fees. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Oh, that's a good point. Ooh,
That's what I thought was going to happen. But it didn't. And I was like, I was like, missed opportunity right there, because then that would have been like a big thing for her. Because like, yeah, she cares about Garrett and she wants him to do well in life, but she's been worrying about her family and her family making ends meet
Yeah.
and getting out of that town for so long. So I thought like, oh, that would be the reason for her to give up, right?
If
And
he knew
Garrett,
about the story, 100%, I think he would. But they did say it was on the. No, I'm not sure, because I think that 100% that would be a more driving factor.
yeah, right. And then like I was like, okay, if that did happen, Garrett would have to be like, okay, like yeah, she wouldn't tell him why she broke up with him,
That's
but if
uh,
he found out, it would have been like, I completely understand. Like that's your family, you have to take care of them.
100%.
And then he would have been like, but guess what? I have money saved up, so. But then I don't know if he would how he would feel about
Mhm.
her taking his dad's money if he's
Definitely
paying
different
his
ending.
dad back.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I don't know. I was hoping for a little more drama right there, but it's fine. It was so good. The shower scene at the end with her walking through the
What the
locker room.
We can't even have phones in there. I mean, we take them to
Bro,
have
yeah.
stuff.
And like her just like walking in and then like
Dicks everywhere, which no, that's real. That happened.
everywhere. And it's just like she sees, first off, she sees Dean, and Dean's like, being himself, like, hey, what's up, Wellesley? And then like Logan, he's just like, and of course, Logan is attracted to her. So he's like, whoa. And then that scene had me smiling so bad because I was just like, this isn't this wow.
So nonchalant about it too, which is
Yeah.
like, yeah, I did that, and I was confused. Why is she so mad? Because she was saying some mean stuff. I'm like, what is this? What did this dude do? I swear, I was really worried for Garrett. I hope he didn't do anything to her.
I hope he didn't.
No.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
A
It
lot
was
of the locker room scenes that El Kennedy writes, like I'm referring to one specific one, but you have not gotten to the book yet. It's in Briar U, the chase. Grace knows what scene I'm talking about in the locker room. It's like some of the scenes that she writes in her books. You're like as a woman, I've never been like in a locker room with a hockey play. Like
Yeah.
I don't have hockey anywhere near me. I'm a Dallas Stars fan just because I was born in Dallas. It's the only like hockey that I've ever watched, or the Avalanche. That's the only two teams that I know about, and so but like I always like a question. I'm like, is that really how it is? Like when she just walks in, you're just like,
Yeah, boys shower together. It's kind of weird. It's like a team thing, and it's funny because when the freshmen join the team, oh my gosh, no, and
right.
they don't really do it at first. They don't really do it until they're comfortable, but kind of just it's so weird because that's just kind of what happens.
Yeah. In college, the girls' locker room is like that too.
yeah,
And
it was like that for cheer.
certain ones. And like I remember, well, like I played a bunch of different sports, and so I'm kind of used to it. But then we had a girl who was like a walk-on onto the swim team, and and swimmers were really like, it is
All
what
out
it is.
there.
Even with the guys, like we're like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And like she was like so shocked by it because she was just like, are you sure? I could just wait until everybody's done. It's just like, girl, there's like 6 shower heads around here.
Yeah.
Like just get it done and then that's it.
Yeah,
It's team bonding. It's just a bonding exercise.
that's how it was for us. I went to France for band, and we were all in this like RV bus for like going to perform and stuff, and like we're all having to change, and there's like all these guys and girls, and all of us are like trying to get on our costumes and our like uniforms and stuff, and we're all just like, fuck it, like I don't give a shit. I've seen you in swim trunks, we've all seen each other in bathing suits, it's fine, just get your damn clothes on. And but it's so funny because like I'll like in when freshman dorms, it's always awkward when like you're rooming with a new person and you're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to like change in front of you. So like my roommate and I, like our first like semester together, we were always like going all the way over to the bathroom to change, and then like we're in the shower and you hear like another person walk into the shower, and like the thing is like kind of low so you can kind of see over, so you're just like washing your body and there's like another girl next to you, like, okay. And then you
yeah
for sure.
Yeah, that scene is definitely like one of the funniest scenes for me because I love when all the guys are together. That's like one of my big things, is that I love like all four of the guys and how they are together
Mhm.
and how they all react to the girls that come like through the series.
Yeah.
Because like, it's kind of hard to see, like, you guys have it easier. It's easier for you guys to like make bonds and become like friends.
For sure.
Girls, it's like we take a process. We take forever to become close friends.
Mhm.
And guys is like you can find one thing in common, and then that'll be the thing that like keeps you together. And then you find out there's all these other things.
Yeah.
And I
Facts.
love like all four of them. They're
Yeah, it's a
awesome.
good group, especially when they live together and one does
Yeah.
Yeah.
one cook and everything. That cooking scene, that was, oh my gosh. When if I was Garrett and saw I would, that's wife material right there. When they come back from practice and you could just, and she made all that food. I was like, yo,
Yeah.
and she could have made any food ever, but she chose to make her, was it grandma or mother's recipe
Yeah.
or something?
Yeah. That was it, right?
I
Because
was,
like she was
I
like
was
she
goated.
called up her mom and she's just like, okay, I need the recipe for this thing, and it's gonna be for about this many people. And
Yup.
she's just like, I know how they eat. They eat a lot, so I gotta make sure that there's enough.
Yeah.
And the fact that she did that for all of the guys, right?
Mhm.
And then all of the guys were just like, well, come on, set the table, do this, do that, get it together. She did this for us. Now we got to step up and match up with her. And from right then, like she was initiated into the group. She's just like,
100%.
Garrett, you're not letting this girl go.
If you
That's
let
it.
her go, then
You're a dumbass.
folding.
You're
You're folding, dude.
Like you are a dumbass if you let this. I that's so common where it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
I've been in that relationship where it's like a girl does everything right, and then like the guy is like a dumbass and just lets her go, and then all of his friends are
All
like,
friends.
dude, you are stupid. Like I felt like that
Yeah.
that scene, I was like, I could relate to that so much, because it's like, it's that like, not, there's like this idea of like, oh, being a housewife and like cooking, I never want to do that, but like it's that like small moment where it's like, oh, I want to do this, and like I think it would be nice for like a bonding experience to like cook for all of these. But like the amount of food she had to cook for like 4 grown hockey players, the amount of groceries for that scene alone, that just hurt my bank account. I was like reading that and I was like, damn, the amount of money she probably had to spend for this. And
Talk about if it was in a movie or something or a
oh my
TV show.
gosh.
it'd be funny to-
Oh my gosh, the amount of food that had to be brought in. And she was doing it just because she wanted to.
Yeah.
She didn't do it because no
That's-
one asked her. She did it because she wanted to.
Yeah.
That was like the
That was
thing.
amazing. for sure.
So we know you've been fan casted as Garrett, but is there any other character that you're like really wanting to get to read and like you feel more inclined to lean towards yet?
I kind of want to see, because they don't really talk about Logan and Tucker and Dean that much. I mean, they do, but not too much,
Right.
which is weird because when people were saying you're Garrett or you're Logan, there was fights. Like, I don't know. Like I don't know. So I definitely want to find out Logan. That's the next one, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Logan is the mistake.
Okay.
So that book is really good.
It
Logan
is.
and Dean are they're great. They're the
There's something.
Find out about
Logan
them for sure.
Logan definitely with that like last chapter with like Garrett saying like, we still got to deal with it, and then Hannah knowing that Logan feels that way about her.
Yeah.
And then her having to deal with it like leads right into the next book, and he's
Perfect.
got to deal with it in his own way. And
yeah.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited.
Yeah,
for you to
I'm excited
read
for you to read it, because like you talk about like the perseverance with like Garrett and stuff. Wait till you get to Logan's book,
Wait
because
till you get
that
to
man
Logan.
is the king of perseverance. Like
Yeah.
I want to be treated the way Grace is treated, and Logan is like
Okay.
the ultimate like the chase. Logan is that like guy who likes to chase and is willing to put in that effort for it.
Yeah, and then because the girl's main name was my name, I was like,
Self-insert.
perfect for me.
Self-insert to the max.
Me.
So would you call Garrett a happy medium, I guess, in a sense, compared he's
Yeah.
not as chasing as Logan, but he's kind of in the middle, I guess. Or is it
Okay, so
it's just a different
It's a different kind.
Yeah.
Logan's situation has to do more on an action.
Okay.
Like he just wants to make sure that he's more like, this is for the sake of me. Like that's what drives him.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's for my sake first. And that's kind of why
Yeah.
certain people are kind of like, I don't know about Logan.
Not me.
Be-
Sorry.
because
Great.
because,
Great. You good?
stop
Even
it.
Garrett's like a cocky like dude, you know.
Oh, they
He
all
is.
are. They all
They
are.
all are.
Wait till you
Like,
get to Tucker.
and that's why I think like every book that you get, Tucker, every book that you get to, everyone is cocky in their own way. And I feel like that's why they're all friends, because they all see that in each other.
Mhm.
But like Garrett, he calms down a lot after Hannah.
Yeah.
But I mean, he doesn't change too much, but it's just like that cockiness comes from like, I can get any girl I want.
Yeah.
And it switches to, this is the girl I'm never going to leave. And so it kind of changes. And with each one that you come across, they all have their own cockiness and their own, like, I'm this hot shot, because they are the big four on campus, and
Well, technically off campus.
And in the country. You know,
yeah, in the
Yeah.
country.
they just won the Frozen Four.
Yep.
You know,
So-
in a sense, it'd be John. It'd be like all the. I think it was. There's like a bunch of NHL players who played at the same school at the same time. It was like Jonathan Taze, TJ Oshie, or so, and it's
Yeah.
kind of makes sense. You know, it's crazy. So
Yeah. My question is, do you get the series title Off Campus is because they live off campus? Did you get that?
I didn't think it was that kind of.
Yeah, it's
no
off.
juniors and like some
Yeah.
sophomores live off campus, but I was
Yeah.
like,
I live
Yeah.
off campus now. It's way better. I hate living on campus. My
yeah,
campus is too small to live on. But
it
so
works.
kind of to ask about, like, you are planning on reading the book. You're planning on reading the rest of the series, but like I kind of wanted it to, I saw this a couple times. I've joined your lives a couple times when I'm just
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I'm doing nothing. I'll just join." I'm
Yeah.
like literally doing nothing, and I'm like, as I'm like looking through the comments and stuff, especially when you first started like reading the book and stuff, I noticed a lot of people, this is more addressing like people who are listening more than you, they're talking
Yeah.
about like some of these books that are darker romances. So like you're reading like a very fluffy, sporty romance, and I saw a lot of recommendations for a book that I'm really not going to talk about.
Oh yeah, I think I
because,
know what you're talking about.
It is a dark, reverse harem is what it's called, romance, and it's very heavy trigger warning, heavy, like there's a lot of scenes that I think would scare you, because it scared me as as somebody who reads dark romance, who reads like bully romance and stuff. It scared me. That book traumatized me a little bit.
Is it the DOV? Is that
Yeah.
DOV is what I call it. I do like the capital D, lowercase v. Literally, that book was the worst book I've ever read, except 365 Days was also the worst book.
What
Worst
about
book.
the movie though? You think the movie was good?
So I literally I did my review video on it. I'll send you it. It's
Okay,
bad, but the movie, I never say this, but the movie was better than the book.
Talk about perseverance. That dude.
Yeah.
That
Oh.
dude,
Number one, that was creepy.
that dude
Yeah.
was insane. It
No,
was-
I will send you the things that I talk about that happen in the book that like you're like, the fuck? Like that is like, wow. But kind of to talk about like people who are wanting you to
wait, real quick. The first time that I watched this movie, I did not know anything about it.
Mm.
And that first scene
Oh.
Well-
from 365, I was like, what is that? Because I saw it trending, right?
Yeah, it was like number
you
one on
see
Netflix
it.
or something.
Yeah, and then I pulled it up on Netflix, and then I'm just like, okay, I'll watch it because everybody's talking about it. I want to know what's the hype. And then I watched it, and I was like, what is this? And it's not like it's very explicit. It's like basically like soft movie.
That's how much notes I took on it.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Crazy.
a lot. It's a lot. But also the translation was off. That's why it was kind of
yeah. I marked. I think my
another
two
language.
were like questionable Massimo moments, dumb bitch moments. Every time they mentioned alcohol, every sex scene I marked, and it was a lot. It was a lot. I sold another copy though, so they were like, "What's the worst book you've ever read?" And I was like, "Here you go." And they were like, "Great." But
the second movie's coming out, and
yes,
believe I'm gonna watch that one too.
'Cause it was a
Guilty-
cliffhanger in a sense, right?
Yeah, I
Cliffhanger?
was.
yeah.
I thought it was like a one-off movie. You know, that's what
Well,
it is.
the book is a lot different than the movies, and that's why I like the movies better because it doesn't have a lot of things that happen in the book.
Mhm.
But it is a guilty pleasure of mine to watch and rewatch that.
The
That I
yacht scene, I'm
I
sure.
will full send. Like, I'm completely honest. I will rewatch it. I I I'm not ashamed that I will rewatch it
So funny.
multiple times a year. But I mean, I read those kind
Okay.
of books. But going back to what I was saying, like, stop pressuring him to read these
Yeah.
books that have darker themes because
So thick.
especially
They're
since,
thick.
like, especially since like I have been working up to like darker romances, so I've started with like the fluffy, and then
Yeah.
you kind of have to work your way up, like Flock, and that's like right before you get to that book. Like, to have people like request that is just very like, it's concerning because like for you, if you didn't know anything about it and you read that book, I think you would be freaked out, and I don't think you could even get past like the first 10 chapters because there's no plot, but it's just very heavy and it's very, very dark. And people who are requesting you to read that, I'm like,
No,
I've even
that's
seen
good.
like Corrupt by Penelope
fuck
Douglas,
that
which
up.
is like a
What's that?
bully romance where it's like, it's not like
It's kind of like there's a lot of like trigger warnings
Yeah.
for it, and a lot of like sex play that isn't.
it
in
teeters
the-
on the
I heard
line of
knives.
like,
I heard knives are.
yeah, knives.
Okay.
It's very fine line between consent.
That's
Yeah.
365. I thought there was so much non-consensual. That kind of
Yes.
bugged me a lot.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, it's hot." I'm like, dude, what?
That's
I'm like, you can't just do that. I don't care how hot you are, or
Yeah.
like you can't do that.
no, literally, like in the book, it's
Yeah.
even worse. Like, it gets so much worse in the book where it's like he like, I like to say like he's like he acts like he's like the king of consent, is like, I won't do anything until you want me to do it, kind of thing.
And then
But then he
he
does
filled up.
other things that I'm not going to
50
spoil it.
Shades did too.
Yeah.
It was like, also like the movie goes way different than the ending of the book, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But also like the author definitely is a self-insert because the character looks exactly like the author now, and I just laughed at that. Like, I saw the photo on the back of the author,
Wow.
and I was like, oh, a short blonde hair Polish girl.
That's the author.
That's the
basically.
author and
Yeah.
the character. It's a self-insert, but yeah. So I'm just, fair warning, guys. Like, stop asking him to read these really dark romances.
Right.
Corrupt by Penelope Douglas, DOV, like all of these really dark romances.
Writing them down.
Was that the something about Penelope? What'd you say?
Like Credence by Penelope. That's like
Oh gosh.
really dark.
Like if you do ever want any other rags,
I have so many.
we'll let you
Like, go
know.
there and everything isn't as bad, right?
No. There are some good ones out there
Yeah.
that are not they're not dark,
Yeah.
but they are good.
Well, he definitely has to read Fulton You by Maya Hughes and The Kings of Rittenhouse.
Because that one's similar to Off Campus.
Yeah, it's literally like Kings of Rittenhouse. It's kind of like how she sets up Off Campus in Briar U, where it's like, it's chronological in the sense. But Fulton U, you read Kings of Rittenhouse and then you read Fulton U, because Fulton U is a football one. Kings of Rittenhouse is hockey, and there's 5 and then 4. I read all of these books in a week. It was bad. It was an interesting week for me where I was reading all of this hockky stuff. But I'll like
I
send
still
you.
have to get to these books. So
I bought all of these
books.
books. I spent so much money within like the week of reading these. Definitely get Kindle Unlimited. If you plan on reading more books, get Kindle Unlimited because you can
Yeah,
get like a free trial. But
but
again,
it's up to you.
up
It's
to
not
you.
like, don't feel like you got to, because like I feel like that's what kind of turns people off, is just like, they get excited because they read one book or they picked up one book, but then it's just like, okay, you're pushed, like you got dumped with all of these other books that you don't really have an interest of reading, and it's just like, okay, like you don't have to read them. And I feel like people kind of forget that reading is a choice. Like that's why we're doing it, because we want to. We can't force other people to do it.
And I also think a lot of so I will call this out, a lot of the people who comment these kinds of things are very young people.
Yeah.
It's not older, like these are people who are minors who are requesting this stuff. Like I've seen it where I'm like, should you, that's why I always put, whenever I have my recommendation videos, I always put 18 plus, like these are like 18 plus books. Not in the sense that like you can't read it, but like this is definitely like more mature. And I've seen these like younger people like recommending it on, I've seen it on your videos and stuff, and I'm like, you're recommending these like hardcore dark bully romance reverse harem books to a boy who just started reading again, and he's reading like this light, fluffy, like hockey romance, and you're requesting a reverse harem romance? Like,
I don't know what that means, but it sounds crazy.
So a reverse harem is basically where
one girl, like 4 guys.
Yeah, one girl, multiple.
Oh, your listeners are like, you idiot! How do you not know what that means?
So
No, because like I had just found out. About it.
So here, let me explain it to you. I think because I read reverse harem. So reverse harem is like, a harem is like one guy, multiple girls. It's historically like this has happened where like a king will like marry a woman, but then he'll also have like a concubine or like a harem of women as like mistresses. That's what the word is, mistresses. Versus like this reverse harem is like this idea that it's one girl and she has like relationships with either like 3 to 4 guys, and it's all like consensual, but like each individual relationship is special to her in like her own way, and she gets something out of every single relationship, and they share her. And there are scenes where this is why I don't want you like pressuring yourself to read those, because you're probably
there would not be, again with Logan, reverse harem. That's perfect right there,
but so
it's get a lot more than she asked for.
It's like those books are definitely geared towards women, definitely more for like a female audience. Like, don't harp on you. If you want to read them, go ahead, but I don't think you're going to be interested in.
Enjoy them though? Are they actually good?
Well, okay.
It's okay.
So
to each their own. Like if you like it, for it's not for everybody. Certain books that like Maggie reads are not for me.
Okay, way to call me.
And the other way around. Like some books that I like, Maggie's like, it wasn't for me.
I need attention. That's what I need. And sometimes Grace's books don't have that. I'm like, I can't. But
I like the romance. I like the
cute. He likes the sweet romance fluff. I'm like, no.
I feel like they're more realistic. Right?
Yeah, they are. They definitely are. But like that's also like another thing that we're actually gonna have a talk about that later in the summer with our friend Tish and Pauline, is like this idea of like the darker romance, and like it's a way to escape. It's not something we actually want in real life. It's an escape, and it's harped on like, oh, you're romance. I got a comment on this. The amount of comments I got on my 365 days video, and it's like, you're romanticizing mafia and like that. And I'm like, do you think I actually want to be with like somebody who's in a gang or somebody who is a part of the mafia? I'm sorry, I am
no.
Hockey is better than the mafia, even though there might be some crazy connections, but hockey do that. But no, hockey is better than the mafia.
For sure. So I do have one question. You have not picked up a book since a long time ago, and this is the first book that you picked up. Were you kind of surprised by the spice in the book when you were reading it?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was so funny. So I was just hanging out with some friends, like on the couch. They were like watching TV, and I get to, I think it's 26 or 27. And as I show my friends, like, bro, look at this, dude. I'm like, this is not whatever wimpy kid stuff. And it's so descriptive. I was like, it feels, number one, it feels like the movie's in my head, number one. Or it's Elle Kennedy's watching this happen. She's writing down. It's like, again, that's probably just books in general, but again, I'm still new to this. But I was shocked, but I didn't complain. So
Don't be ashamed. Do not be ashamed. Own
I
it.
was
We all did not complain.
We
I was
all.
really shocked. I don't know. I just didn't think because I'm calling it my mom here, whatever. But because I know she reads a lot, and I was always like, why were they so popular and everything? And I just remember everyone's like, oh, the books are really good. I'm like, well, and now I can read this book, and I'm not surprised why it's popular. Again, not just for the smut stuff.
No.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
But yeah, to answer your question, I was surprised, but I was like, okay, this is
So,
weird.
Like,
Because I kind of knew. I mean, relationships. I mean, again, this book isn't even close to the other ones, is what I'm hearing. But you kind of I kind of went into it with an open mind. I like it.
So the question
Yeah.
is, did you tell like your friends like you told them to read this, right? Did you
Yeah.
tell them what it's about? Like, did you tell them like, hey, there are like sex scenes in here, and or are you gonna leave them in the dark?
I kind of want to leave him in the dark. Basically, I said is this D1 hockey player needs to pass a class or he can't play hockey, and he needs a tutor, and this girl is kind of his only option, not really, and they just become close and stuff. That's what I kind of explain. Maybe I don't know what this, because if I tell my friends there's sex scenes, it's either they would want to read it more or they,
Yeah, it
maybe
scares them
I'll
away.
go that approach.
I think having them go in blind is going to be really funny because like when they get to it, they're going to be like, you read this?
You
And
definitely have to record the reactions. Like that can be a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
series in itself on like if you want to continue making like off-campus content on your page, which you don't
Mhm.
have to. There's no pressure to do it, but everybody would love to see your friends' reactions
that
to
would be funny.
reading it because like
That would be
it's like
funny.
guys like yeah, I have some like mutuals who do read like smut and they're guys and stuff, but like I've never seen like a hockey player read this book and tell me like what they thought of it. You are the first guy like I've
Such-
actually talked to about this book, and it's funny because I'm like, well, no guy really in my life is gonna read this book. So to get it from a hockey player
Yeah.
specifically,
All my friends are hockey players as well, so it's kind of weird. So
It's gonna-
it'd be the same. It'd just be me times 4 in different characters. It's
That'll be
gonna real-
funny.
The whole series is coming.
Yeah, right?
Oh,
That'll
yeah.
be all of you guys.
But-
And it's funny because like, you know, usually with romance books, it's kind of like a hit or miss if a guy reads it, because like a guy could read it and then be like, this is what you read, and like make fun of it. Or like he could read it and be like,
Oh.
Or
this is-
both. This is so dumb, but I keep wanting to read it. Oh, it's so stupid, you know. It's hey, bro.
Oh,
You're,
yeah.
you're allowed to like it, man. It's okay.
So-
yeah, you have to like it. It's fun. It was funny that you started that scene
Mhm.
and people were around you. Like that's a thing for us. Is like it's like called like your straight face, and like you have to keep
I'm a
how
master.
well you keep a straight face while reading those really like spicy scenes around other people. Like that's a level
That
not
was-
everybody can reach.
I can do that. I can sit next to my roommate and read a book. I do it at work. I like will sit there and my coworkers will talk to me and I'm like, and then I continue reading. It takes practice when especially it gets to a scene and I'm like, I just read one book, Neon Gods, and I was reading there and I'm in the break room and they're like talking and I'm like,
all
it's
the
going through a
most descriptive scenes of all
it's,
time.
it's the most descriptive scene and I'm like, okay. And like I usually make like an angry face to like keep myself from like, so I'm just like like I act angry and people are like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm just angry right now. And they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like,
Yeah. Me, I'm a big blusher, and like I'll just like, okay, nobody look at me right now. Or I'll have to like, I'll be like, excuse me guys, I'll be right back. I need to read this alone.
especially since you listen to the audiobooks. I don't. I like straight speed read through them. You listen to the audiobooks, which I feel like is worse when you're around
Yeah.
people.
That's-
So,
yeah.
I had a question. So for
Yeah.
your note-taking process, like how did
yeah.
you
This is
so-
interesting.
'cause, like okay, so I saw somebody ask you this, and they're like, how did you like what was your note-taking process for this book, and like what things, like why did you mark certain scenes? Like there's always like a tabbing system that like a lot of people have.
Yeah,
So
people
what was
do.
your system?
All right, I'm gonna pull this up, but basically it's different for the depending on the scene. Again, this is gonna sound weird, but so blue. I did. If you guys didn't know, I read it on my phone and my
Yeah.
computer, which is different because I actually enjoyed it because again, I could be in the car, I could be wherever, I could always read it. And so blue stuff, like blue highlights, would just be like the normal stuff. Red obviously was the smut.
Spicy scenes? Spicy scenes?
Yeah, the spicy scenes, which I highlighted. It's
Oh,
whatever.
we all do.
Oh, we all do. We all
Okay.
do.
We all
It's
do.
okay.
Okay, and then the green was hockey stuff. So it's I unload the puck to tuck. Hip checking Braxton as my teammate dekes out the goal, so I can find that easily. And then I had bookmarks and stuff. But really, my note taking process was just have different colors for each of the different stuff. And then just like blue for normal stuff, green for hockey, and then red for spice. And also if something, I actually wrote down foreshadowing a couple times earlier. My English teacher
Wow.
was so proud. He
Good
said,
job.
There's this.
You were saying that your reading comprehension wasn't there. First of all,
like I don't even.
first of all,
Yeah, like I don't ever comment on. I mean, I do sometimes, but like commenting on foreshadow, especially in a smutty book. Wow, look at you.
Yeah. Because he said, I look at my father and I just can't look at him. And my head's like, yo, that's your dad. Something had to have happened. So I kind of, which I predicted it. Something happened. And I'm sure, again, most people could predict something, what would happen. But yeah, just that scene when he saw his dad at the end of the game, you couldn't even look eyes with him or something. Something's got to happen. But yeah, just some stuff like that. And also, again, I don't know why, but I did some characteristics on the characters, like
oh yeah,
highlighted what she looks like. I don't know. And then
Like-
what Garrett looked like. Again, I'm kind of embarrassing myself here, but
no,
the dude's
Only,
apparently
like-
built like a Greek god.
I
so-
mean, we're not. Nobody's gonna shame you. I mean, it's part of the like reading smut process. Is like highlighting. The fact that you chose red though for the spicy scenes, I think was perfect because like it's either red or orange that readers use for those scenes. So the fact that you chose that, not even like thinking,
you're already one of us, and you
Yes.
don't even know it.
crazy.
you have
That's
been inducted into the sweaty smut talk.
Oh yeah, because like, and then like the whole thing about the character, like how they're described too.
Mhm.
Like not that many people do that because they're just thinking like it's whatever, but like the people who are like really like invested pay
Yeah.
attention to everything about the characters. So I'm gonna give your notes like you get an A plus. You
Thank
get an
you.
A
A
plus.
plus, because you actually took them. Like I
You
did.
actually took 'em.
I know. I read too fast to like comprehend anything that went on in these books.
Especially with a real life Hannah as Steph, it was kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And like the fact that Elle Kennedy is like really like invested in her like fandom, and like now that it's like booming up again, but she's like fan casting people, and then like she's like commenting on everybody's video, and she's just
It's amazing.
it's pretty insane,
Yeah. It is.
But I think I did see like one comment that she did for like Garrett's video. She fan casted somebody, but then like I think she replied to a comment for you about like if there's a movie like
I was fangirling. I'll be honest. When she said that, I was like, oh.
That's insane. Because like she was like, if there's a movie, like we don't know who we'll see or something like that. And I was like, that's it. Because like the author herself like said, like, you could be it. And then like you are doing like a small film right now, right?
Yeah, actually, which is even cooler and stuff. And just being able to, again, the hockey scenes are so important. And it's cool to see the behind the scenes process. Because with the movie I'm doing right now, there's a script. And it could say, like the scene I just said, takes the puck up the ice. But so one of the coaches who we're working with, so we just do plays over and over. We take the script and then do it in a real play. He has to kind of sketch it all out on a hockey thing. So he's, in a same sense, he's got to do the same play over and over and over.
Choreographing it. And
Yeah,
stuff.
it's crazy. It's cool to see because, you're kind of just, you do a play and then you go back, do a play, come back. So
Yeah.
kind of cool.
And then, because like you mentioned, I think that you were one of the only actual hockey players on the cast.
Yeah.
On the fan cast or like the actual cast? On like because everyone actually so how I got the role, it was crazy. It was like through a Zoom process and stuff. But the director kind of says it's easier to teach hockey players how to act than
Then
actors how to teach actors to play hockey.
Mhm.
You know, because I've been playing most of my life and I'm still working on small things. Because also too, I'm not trying to trash on the Mighty Ducks right now, but there's like Mighty Ducks spinoff on Netflix, and the hockey's not good, and everyone keeps complaining about it. So if they make a series, a TV show, whatever, if the hockey's got to be good, especially
Yeah.
if the highest hockey in the country you can play without professional, it's got to be really good. So
Yeah.
that's why the director, at least for the thing I'm doing now, is we gotta have really good hockey and stuff. Because if not, people are hockey. It's not gonna
yeah,
be good to
and
watch.
it's like I mentioned before, like as an athlete watching a movie on whatever sport it is, like
Yeah.
you can tell when people actually play it and when they don't. I swear, like my whole family, we all play sports, and like my mom's a coach, I am, and we do volleyball. And we watched one volleyball movie, and the girl was supposed to be like this amazing setter or something like that, right?
Mhm.
And I swear my mom and I would like pause and rewind and look at her, and we're just like, dude, she does not know how to play. They couldn't get a girl that actually played. And like it
Someone's
bugs
like from the
athletes.
back row and stuff.
Right. It's just like, come on. You
Yeah.
No,
could do better
I
than that.
literally there's like this one hockey slash ice skater. Um,
Oh yeah.
one I forgot which one it's called, but like she
Well,
like
there's a bunch of them. Which
there
one?
is, but it's one specific one where it's like a ripoff of another one, but it's all on Netflix. But like she's like this like girl who like isn't really doing competitions, but like does like ice skating and stuff. And
Mhm.
they like talk about like the competition process, and I'm like, this is not how it goes. Like this is wrong. And I mean, I skated for like not that long, but and I never committed to actually doing stuff. I have a broken back, so like I
Dang.
couldn't I fractured my vertebrae. So anytime like I got too into sports, it would say no. But I broke my back riding a horse. So it
Whoa.
was I'm from Texas, so like it's a natural thing to do
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
to fall off a horse. Like
Yeah.
every Texan has fallen off of a horse if they've ridden one. But I remember watching, it's like a TV show, and I was like, and it's hockey too, and I was like, this seems so unrealistic. Like a girl goes out onto the middle of the ice rink during a hockey game.
I know what you're talking about.
Trying to
It's
look it
their
up.
brother and sister.
Yes, they're brother and sister, and I forgot what TV show it is, but it's like she goes out into the middle of the rink while they're playing a game, and
I'm
you're
gonna look
like, that doesn't make any sense. But I like how
It's
365 days is the first thing that comes up on my Netflix.
on Netflix. It knew that you were talking about it.
It really it's like it's 365 days, and then like the after, and
Ah,
like all of these
it's called Zero Chill.
Zero Chill. That's what it is.
Gotcha.
It was interesting. So
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. So the dude who's working with us also did the stuff for Miracle, the Disney movie
yeah.
about the 1980 team. And he was even saying, so the thing that we're doing, it's more free reign, just because it's not like a historical thing. But for Miracle, if in the real game, if the puck went off this board and hit this, you got to do it exactly how it is, especially because of how big of a performance that was. So it really just shows, how much time really goes into it. I never even thought about that at all. And I'm sure she could, if it does get casted, just like Miracle, that you could have stunt doubles or whatever for the hockey guys. It wouldn't be a big deal. Yeah, it's cool. She's been real nice. I've actually talked to her a couple times throughout the process.
yeah, I heard you sent some hockey clips over to her.
Yeah, she was like, "Yo, send some clips." I'm like, "Okay." I don't know. She said she's doing like an edit. I don't know.
That's what I probably guess, is she's probably doing like an aesthetic edit for her series, because a lot of, I don't know if you've seen them, but a lot of like Grace does them too. She's done them where it's like these aesthetic videos. I'm not calling you out. I'm just admitting
They're dope. The ones I've seen
like,
are dope.
she's really good at it. That's why
Yeah.
I don't do it, is because I don't particularly like care about making the edits and stuff. but like there's like all these like aesthetic videos, so that's what I'm guessing she's doing is like an aesthetic video. But like the fact that she asked you,
Asked you. Yeah, that's pretty
you
good.
specifically,
So it's crazy.
That is kinda
I put on my private stories, telling all my friends like, "Yo, dude!" All my the friends who I haven't talked about are, bro, what's going
What
on?
is
Gosh,
my
bro,
question. That's my
so
question. How do your
confused.
friends feel about this? Like, like what do they think? Like the fact that like there's like all of these like girls from like a book talk who are like asking you to read this book and like all your like gaining a big following from book talk. Like, what do they think about it?
It's so weird because a lot of them, some of them are so annoyed because I keep talking about it every time I hang out with them. They're like, dude, bro, just can we talk about it? I'm like, dude, it's on my mind. They would always, and it's funny. So a lot of them go in the lives and stuff. So the people who are in the lives, yo, what do your friends look like? And then I show them a picture, and then it's kind of weird. They're kind of, it's like, oh, he's this character. It's kind of just like just trolling around and stuff.
Yeah.
It's so weird. My friends are just, they're kind of they're so confused and stuff, like I was to begin with, but they're like, bro, like, dude, they were just they're just getting so annoyed at a time, just for joking and stuff. But they're kind of as surprised as me, just because of it's literally entire new audience and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's not it's hockey fans, but it's also people that are
Well, because like before you were making just hockey like content and stuff,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
literally like one video and everything has changed, and like
Yeah,
people are like
yeah.
wanting you to read hockey books and stuff, and you're like, oh gosh, I mean the pressure, I bet is. I mean,
It's cool though. It's
It's
fun.
fine.
It was fun making like off-campus style videos.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like I gotta say, like you're handling it really well. Like you're answering like back to like mostly everybody that you can get to, like all the duets and stuff, and like you're doing pretty good. And you're like a really nice guy. So
I will have to commend you for how fast you respond, because I think I posted a video and then you responded like a minute later, and I was like, dude, are you okay? I was like,
Yeah.
dude, how long have you been on TikTok
It took
today?
me a while to read because a lot of people were either roasting me, which I still thought it was funny.
yeah.
They said, "Book talk, what are you doing? This kid is a hockey," and I was dying from that. But just from trying to respond and see as many videos as I can, this is so funny. They're too funny.
I want to see like your analytics for when that video, like I want to
Oh.
see like how much you actually spent on TikTok, because like you were
That-
responding to almost every single video that would pop up on my For You page, or like videos that my friends would make, and I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry that this
Like,
is.
get a life, man. Come on.
I'm
Poor
not gonna
guy,
say
like-
it, but you'll say it.
It's just like you put your phone down for like a minute, giving it a break, and then boom, a whole bunch of notifications. You got to go right back to it.
Yeah,
But that's really sweet that you try to keep.
yeah,
up with it.
that's
Yeah.
commendable that you try to respond to every single.
Yeah.
Even if people are saying this dude's whatever, and I still say that's cool. I mean, again, I didn't really know a lot of the characters and other characters, and I usually just say, like, I love hockey and it's good to read and stuff. But it's definitely been a whirlwind of stuff that I never expected.
Yeah, it's been fun, and that's what it is. It's for fun. It's not like
100%.
people can, like, the people who really are not nice people, they're the ones who are like, they're like, no, this is not it. This is not. You shouldn't be hyping somebody up just because they pick up a book. Like, it's not really about that. It's more just
Just
like,
for fun,
we're just having fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of like, okay, I will admit, when I first saw you, I was like, okay, he's not what I would imagine Garrett at. Like, I'm gonna be honest. And then like I started watching more of your videos, and I was like, oh, frick, like now he is. And I was like, damn it, he won me over. Because like when I first saw you, I was like, oh no, book talk is gonna come for him. And I'm like, that's not how I imagined Garrett. And then like I would watch your videos, and I'm like, I got won over.
Thank you.
But-
I'll take it. Again, that's a compliment now. So it's,
Yeah, but like
it's
I've
fun.
seen like on Elle Kennedy's, she does those cast videos and stuff, and people are like,
Yeah.
oh, like some people are like, oh, it's Garrison, and then other people are like, no, it's not. And I'm like, people can have their own opinions. Like
Yeah.
opinions also
Yeah.
change. Like you changed my opinion, but
Yeah.
like I see this a lot, and especially like there are some of like her cast picks that I'm like, oh, that's not how I imagine the character. But like reading is subjective, and like when you imagine a character, not everybody's gonna imagine the same looks, the same
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
everything. So but the fact that like
Yeah.
collectively majority of book talk was like, we claim you, like you were just overnight sensation on book
Yeah.
talk.
Cause like
I just want the other.
when
Sorry,
you
what
like
were you
first
saying?
when you first popped up, I was like, oh, that's like pretty dope. Like, we found a hockey player, and like, and then like I'm like,
Yeah.
I can see the comments coming now, and then like I think I do edit a video, and like I was just like, here we go, we're going off again, right? And then like I think I joined a couple of your lives just kind of like see what your vibe was. I'm just like, I need more to see if somebody is that character or what. But then like the more that like I saw you, I was just like, yeah, he has like that vibe that I feel like Garrett would have. So I was like, it's not like, yeah, appearance has to do with it, but like the reason why everybody loves Garrett so much is because of like what he does and how he talks and how like, he makes Hannah feel, and like you do pretty well. I mean, you are attractive,
Thank you.
and yeah, so and like
Grace, way to make it a little We'll admit.
I'm just saying,
objectively attractive. We're just gonna boost you up. We'll hype you up. Great.
Okay.
You guys are awesome.
Grace was worried about me calling her out. You just called yourself out.
Hey, it's a safe space. It's okay.
It's a safe space. But yeah, no, especially like the fact that you came onto our podcast, I really want to thank you because like
Oh yeah.
No, thank you.
I messaged you and I was texting Grace and I was like, what if we did Garrison? And she's like, no. She's like, no, he cannot come on. I'm calling you out.
Oh,
no. She was too nervous to have you on the podcast. And I was like, well, like, I don't really care. Like, it would be fun. And I was like, he's okay. And she was like, no. And then
he's not Garrett at all.
Okay, let me
He's terrible at hockey.
No. That's not what it is. Okay, let me
she was
explain.
getting so nervous, and then I messaged you, and she's like, crap. I'm full out calling you out, Grace, because I started becoming
I'll take
nervous.
it. I'll take it.
Whirlwind.
I was a little nervous. One, because you're the first guy that we've had on here.
And it is a sex book.
You are pretty nice, and it's a smutty book, and you okay.
I think Grace is a little uncomfortable.
It's been look, and so I was nervous because I'm just like, it's the first guy that we've had on, and it's a smutty book, and he looks nice, he looks pretty, and so it's gonna be weird. I don't know how we're gonna be able to get through this. And it's the fact that I had joined a couple of your lives, and like you were like telling everybody about yourself, and friends were asking like, oh, who is this guy or whatever, and I was like, oh, his name is this, he does this. I was like, whoa, I know way too much. And it was literally only because I had joined a live where you were saying that stuff. Like, it wasn't like I was looking in, like I wasn't, it was just, I just happened to be there when you were sharing information.
Yeah, because one of my you're good. I'll help you out with this, because it's like I have another good friend who I told to read this book, who actually played hockey, and it's hard to judge someone or know who they are just from a 6-second TikTok video, especially if it's lip sync, not their real voice. So going live, I think, is a good way to not only introduce myself, and also meet the people who watch my videos and stuff. So I'm glad that you're able to come to that.
Yeah. I mean, I do, like, you are a very, like, a lot of the guys that I talk to are very, like, pretentious boys who go to a Catholic, like, private Catholic school. So I go to a private, like, university. So they're all very pretentious, all very full of themselves. So I'm always like, whenever I see, like, I go onto a guy's live, I'm always like, okay, let's see how this is gonna go. And then I get onto yours, and it's very welcoming. You're very chill and laid back, and like, I think we were very nervous for that, because we were like, oh no, we're gonna be talking about a smutty book with a boy. Like, how is this gonna go? And the fact that you are so chill and like it's easy to talk to you, I think is so great. And like, thank you for being so chill.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah, I mean, the smut was good.
it was pretty good.
I mean, let's just say it how it was, and it was good, and especially how it happened. But
so how? I don't know if you have it, but there's a thing called Goodreads, or like there's like you rate books and stuff. So out of 5 stars, what would you give this book?
Oh yeah.
I actually rated it right after I finished it, And again, so my rating is based on not only, again, sex is sex, you can whatever, but
Yeah.
just the whole idea of it, and how the characters not only developed from them explaining themselves or about their past. I'm gonna sound dumb here, but I gave it 5 out of 5. I don't know. I didn't really see
I did
anything
too. It's
wrong
okay.
with it.
It's that's pretty good though. And it's pretty good because like the way that you're explaining it right now, you were basing it off of like multiple things. And that's how people, like avid readers that go into books and how they rate them, is like, did this book have this? Did this develop the characters well? Was the subplot there? Was the romance there? Whatever. All of those things built up to like what rating it could be. To be honest, me, when I first read it, this was my first romance ever. I gave it like a
What up?
no, I gave it like a 3.5. But then
You did not disrespect Garrett like that.
I know, right?
Wait, I think we had this conversation where I was like, even I was the one who was like, you did not disrespect Garrett and Hannah like that.
You did, and
Hey,
like
you're the one who said number 5 to Garrett.
Okay, but like coming from me, coming from me though, to say that you disrespected him by giving me a 3.5, I still rated it a 5 out of 5 stars. But so like I could still,
I still haven't done my rating for everybody yet though. But I was talking with it, like a friend of mine, she was reading it, and I told her like, send me your reactions, like I'm here for it, like send me everything, your updates. And as she was doing it, I was like falling in love with the story again, and I was like, damn, I should have given it better stars than this. I was overthinking it too much, because like I was like, it was a fluffy romance, like yeah, it made me laugh, yeah, it made me like, you know, swoon, and it made me blush or whatever, but it was but then it wasn't, because like I actually did really like it, and I probably would reread it again. So I'm probably gonna change my rating.
I bought the book. I have the ebook. I have all the ebooks. I'm buying all the physical. Well, I'm buying the ones that I like. I'm not buying Tucker's book because I didn't like Tucker. But
sweetheart,
I also don't have anything really to compare it to. So if I finish the series, it'll be also, I'll probably again do a re-rating as well. But I just liked how well-rounded it was.
Yeah.
I just wish, again, when they win the championship, I was thinking there should be a scene. Garrett goes down the ice. There's 3 seconds left. He dumps it in. 5, 4. The crowd goes insane. I did it. I was the captain. Just stuff. I wish that was in there. Again, it's not a hockey book, but I thought it'd be pretty cool just because of how this end goal of how he wanted it so much.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a 4 or 5 just because the hockey scenes with I wish there was more in a sense. But again, it's also, you kind of need to make a book based on your demographics and everything. So again, I thought that'd be cool just because that's a big thing, winning the national title and the entire.
Yeah.
So that's,
I think especially when it comes to for you rating, you're also, like you said, you haven't been avidly reading for a while, so like you get to rate it however you want. Like if you rate it 5 out of 5 stars, that's great because you liked the story and stuff. Like I know a lot of people who are very critical when it comes to like their reviews and stuff, and for me, I am not at all very critical. I'm like, if I read the book in a day and I enjoyed it, it's getting a 5 out of 5 stars from me, versus like somebody who is like, oh, it has to be really, really well written, it has to be beautiful writing and stuff for it to be a 5. And that goes against what I was saying, like reading is subjective for everybody.
Yeah. And especially because like these books, they're for like a certain, like you said, demographic. They're for like romance readers. They're meant, like, they're feel good books, you know. But even though it was a feel good book, it still had, like, I like to say, like a little sprinkle of trauma. We had like an abusive dad, we had like sexual assault, you know, there were other things, heavier themes in there. But I too kind of wish that we had a little more hockey, especially because hockey was so important to Garrett.
Yeah,
I felt like
he didn't want a girlfriend for the longest time. Even he said, I don't want a girlfriend. I need to focus on hockey. That's probably a 4.5 out of 5, just because I wish there's a little more hockey scenes. Yeah. But other than that, that's kind of a minor thing. But yeah, what else are you saying?
So, okay, so there's also another rating, is the spicy rating. And so what was your, out of 5 spices, what was your spicy rating?
So
because you haven't read a lot of spicy, so So
Yeah.
you can kind of come at this as a fresh thing. It's like, oh, this was more than I expected, or like, oh, this is like a good amount, like a good like 3 or a good 5 out of 5. Because like for you, it's different than somebody who like me, I read a ton of this. And so my spicy ratings is gonna be way different than yours.
Yeah, I kind of again sounds whatever, but I
Come
kind of
on, it's fine.
why don't I wish there was a little more. That's all.
Okay.
Because of how important it was for the character, just because of how she thought. Maybe that's because wasn't, and they again there was a decent amount. There's a couple chapters. There's the car scene. There's a bunch of other stuff, but I'd say 3.5 out of 5, maybe.
Okay,
Maybe
yeah.
4. Not that the scenes and the scenes that they were there I liked a lot. Again, important to the
Well,
plot and everything.
it's spicy doesn't just have to mean like just the sex part. It's
Exactly.
also like the intimacy and the relationship between the two. That also factors into like the spicy rating because it's like I think a lot of people forget that like yeah like there can be sex where it's like it's mutual like it's just for the sex, but there's also like that very intimate like the difference between like making love and then fucking
Yeah,
like there's a
in the
difference
book,
between
yeah,
the
in the
two.
beginning.
I don't
Mhm.
know why I whispered that like but
Girl, like we've gone way deeper in
I know.
conversation.
I'm talking about
but
way deeper.
It's
I've outed
fine.
myself too many times on this podcast for me to
Okay.
start whispering about that.
Yeah. But
But
like
like
the spice has to do with like and not just like the physical acts of it, but it's also like the tension, like those moments where he'll come up right behind her and like they both feel it, but it doesn't nothing happens. It's all of that kind of built into it. I do also wish there was a little more
Maybe
because
them
like once they get
smiling at
together,
each other and
it's
stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
well,
Maybe
okay,
the
so I
feeling.
think there are like there's more books. So like I think some of them get even more like this is an introduction book into the series, so it's not like going to
Yeah.
be full out like heavy
Mm.
spice versus like there is one book where it's like, "Oh, Dean." So, I'm just going to leave it there. We all love Dean.
Yeah. Dean's a favorite. um Dean, but then Dean is also the guy who like Garrett and everybody knows hooks up everywhere but
Everywhere.
his room.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Interesting.
he's like I think in
He's an
Garrett's like,
exhibitionist.
yeah. In Garrett's like
Yeah,
first
he picks up.
POV, I think it's in the first scene where he walks in and he sees everybody for the first time. Dean is like has a girl on his lap and he's making out with her.
That's right. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
that's
something I would
that
want to. I don't. Yeah, just in front of your friends.
yeah.
Yeah, Dean has a lot of issues. Dean has a lot of issues. That's like the
Dean-
rough one in the book. That book made me cry. Dean's
It
book
did.
made me cry. So there's just a lot that happens in the book, and you're like, fuck. You're like, ah, my heart. Like, you really feel for Dean in that book and Allie.
Yeah. And then you might like we said, like if you end up like finishing it out, and you might find parts of yourself in each of the books, because I know I felt that like there's certain things, like that's the thing about reading, like you find yourself in like a bunch of different characters. Like there
Mhm.
were some things that Garrett did that like I related to, but then there were a lot of things that Hannah, of course I'm a girl, but like
Yeah.
you relate to that. But every single book had something that you relate to.
And you can also dislike things that they do.
Yeah.
Like you can criticize a character. I mean, I'll criticize Garrett any day because like that man was a stalker. I will say it. That man is
That's
a
something that I'm
stalker.
working on for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But it,
I
it was,
think-
it was a book.
I think this was a great conversation. I think this is
Yeah.
a natural end because I was looking at the time and I'm like, wow, we've almost gone 2 hours. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I want to say thank you to you, Garrison, for coming on. Especially, like, I always say this to every single guest who comes on here. I'm like, oh, they're going to say no. Like, I literally was texting Grace. I was like, he's probably not even going to read the DM. Like, he's not going to, she was freaking out. I was like, dude, I was so chill about it. I was like, he's not going to answer. Like, don't worry. And then our friend Melissa was like, he's going to answer. And I was like, she's like,
Yeah,
"Give me a
Melissa.
day."
Thank you, Melissa.
Melissa was like,
Shout out,
he's
Melissa.
going to answer. And I was like, fuck. I was like, shit. I didn't realize he was
It makes me feel
Glad that we
so
got it
bad because it makes me feel bad because I was like, dang, he's not gonna say yes. It's gonna be fine. Like I'm good. I don't need to freak out. And then you respond.
Yeah,
and
I sent her the response and
and
she's like, fuck. We were both
and
like,
you're
shit.
hearing that I was It
don't
wasn't that I
like that.
didn't want you on. I was just nervous. to
She was
have you on.
very nervous. We're both, I guess you're our first male guest, so it's like, it's a little nerve wracking that like, it's our first like talking about
It's
a
our first
smutty
Friday
book.
Night Book. So
So,
yeah,
I was
that's
nervous as well. It's okay, you know.
yeah.
yeah. But you prepared really well.
Yes, the notes. I can't believe you actually took notes, like actual paper notes. I
Yeah,
think
that's pretty good.
that's
Crazy,
commendable.
right? What the? You guys are changing me for the good.
I mean, that's
Uh,
it's book talk for you. Like it gets crazy. Like we have created a monster with you. I'm sorry. You're
Happy
gonna
monster, like
yeah.
Cookie
Yeah.
Monster. What you consider it? I don't know.
yeah, something like that.
I
Yeah.
guess. I guess.
But as long as you like stick to the positive people, don't listen to the negative people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And feel however you want to feel about the books. Like just because you might not like a book, that's fine. Be honest. Like there are some books that El Kennedy has written in the series that I don't particularly like the score. So I mean I just hate the trope that in that book. It's a trope that I just hate. So
But it's up to you. Reading's subjective, and if you walk away with anything from this community, it's that you'll find something out there that you end up enjoying, and you enjoy it just because you enjoy it, not because anybody forced you to do it.
Of course. And I liked it a lot, you know. If anything, it helps me again what I want to take from him and again be more confident and just now knowing what a woman thinks, it's much different, you know. I kind of really never had an experience of a back and forth, you know. I mean, many dudes, it's kind of impossible to know exactly what a woman thinks most of the time, and you know, but being able to see that
Yeah.
through the book, it really helped me a lot. I'm glad I got to see that as well, so I'm definitely taking that from it and just stuff like that.
you took notes. You actually took notes.
Notes.
You took literal notes about things that it is written by a woman and
It's important, yeah.
it's
A lot of
important. I think
insight.
I mean,
But
that's why a lot of readers make the joke like, "Oh, I'm gonna make my like boyfriend or like my significant other read like a romance book that I like to see like what I want," because it's like it's kind of true. I'm not gonna lie, like having a guy read a book is kind of a turn on, and then you're like, now they get me a little bit. Like they expect like, "Hey, I want this kind of like romance and stuff." Like so.
Yeah,
That's how
and
it is.
just how they were able to communicate through their relationship when stuff happened. I think that's also important, you know.
Mhm.
'Cause
yeah.
again, it makes the sex I keep talking about, but
I mean,
more
Uh,
than more
hey,
than
look,
that.
let me tell you, honestly, we were more nervous about how we were gonna try to keep ourselves in check with the sex
yeah, we
more
wanted
than
you to feel
you were.
comfortable. I was literally scared. Like I was like, okay, when I reached out to him, I was like, what if he doesn't feel comfortable? I want him to feel comfortable. Like
Yeah.
I know like this like sex talk and stuff, especially with women, is really like scary for guys and stuff. And I know a lot of guys tend to like shy away from it and think it's awkward and stuff. And so I was like, well, we're hoping to make you feel as comfortable as we can. Cause like, I mean, it's a very like intimate thing to talk about is like sex. And so, especially with two women you've never talked to before in your life.
Right. This is technically our first meeting, so it's not
I mean, I've been emailing with you, but like I'm so sorry for my like scattered emails because I
No, I
work.
felt bad because I couldn't make it on Friday, so I'm so glad that
Oh
we're
no, Friday was
we're
fine.
good. Yeah.
But one last question from a follow of yours is there a reason behind your jersey number?
yes, so I wear 15. So I'm like a Broncos fan. I was born in Colorado.
Sorry.
I love Tim. I just like Tim Tebow a lot. He's just, I don't know, he's just hardworking, and now he's playing a different position. It was kind of cool. And
Mhm.
growing up, I was like, oh, what number do I use? And it's 15. I like that a lot.
So you're a Broncos fan?
Yep. And I saw like Garrett's 44, which usually it's a defenseman number, at least
Yeah.
I've seen, but yeah, I just 15 was cool, and I don't know, kind of stuck. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I kind of had that too. My number was 23 for all of my sports, and got it simply because, like, 23 is like, Michael Jordan was a great,
Yeah.
hard work ethic and everything. And then my sister ended up picking 32, to be like opposite of me. And
Yeah.
then my brother tried to like come up in baseball, and then like he was like, I'm gonna be 23 too. And I'm like, whoa, you gotta
Yeah, it's a
This is so much
competition.
effort. My jerseys were always just 8 because it was an even number, and I was like, 4 plus 4 is 8. I'm just gonna go with 8.
My,
two
my
different types
brother
of
just asked me. He's like, "Can I be 15?" I'm like, "No."
no
It's the
It's a
same.
very
It's weird.
spiritual thing. It's a very like thing to have. Like, oh, this is my
personal.
number. Like, you can't like every time I would go like cross country to like volleyball, I was always like, I'm 8, and like we used the same jerseys in whatever school that was, middle school.
Mhm.
So we always had the same jerseys, but they would like swap out teams and stuff. And so I was always like, this is my jersey, and I even wrote my name on the name.
You got to. You
You
have
I
have
like
to.
wrote it, and I was like, nobody else can use this.
Like one year, I was like getting my physical, and like they were handing out the jerseys, and it was a new coach. And like I was like the main athlete at my school, and like everybody knew that that was my number. But then a freshman walks up and like takes 23.
Nah.
I come
Oh.
up and I'm like, excuse me, that's mine.
Yeah.
You need to pick another one. And she's like, oh, well, they just said no.
You're
No.
doing waters
Yeah.
if you don't give me that number, and you're still gonna do waters if you do.
Yeah, like you, this is not, no, this is not a game. The number is important.
Exactly.
It's personal. You
Yeah.
carry it with you.
Yeah, it's funny how it is for numbers, because again, comparing in the book, there's the scene about the tattoo. For him, usually when people get tattoos, it's really personal, and he had that fake story or whatever, and then she's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Nah, just because it looks cool." Because some people, again,
Yeah.
they have a connection with the number, or they don't. It's really up to each.
Literally my room number. I have my room number tattooed on me from freshman year of high school. From freshman year of college, I have my room number tattooed for no reason.
It's special.
It's
Yeah,
it's very special. I got on
Yeah.
Barstool, so I might as
Okay.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to end the podcast here. So thank you everybody who's been listening. This episode it's probably out Friday, 6 p.m. Central Time, which is 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern 7 p.m. Eastern Standard
Yeah.
Time. I have to do a bunch of Grace is
Nice.
in California right now. I'm in Kansas. So it's like I'm always having to flip
Right.
between two
Yeah.
time zones and stuff. So thank you everybody who's listening. Thank you for coming on, and this
Yeah.
was a great discussion. It's going to be a long one. I feel like we haven't done this long of a podcast in a while.
Well,
So thank you for coming on, and thank you everybody who listened, and thank you to your
Um,
audience who has come to listen.
before we sign off, do you want to plug in your handles?
Yeah, sure. Again, thank you so much to everyone who's listened. It's been a interesting but amazing experience to read and just meet a whole community of people. I have nothing but like thankful and grateful for everything that's happened, and it's really cool to see how passionate this community is, and it's awesome. But yeah, especially for if my hockey friends listening, better read the books with me. Come on, let's get it done.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah. No, thank you so much for coming on. It was very interesting talk, and thank you for being so like chill about it and not making us like I don't feel awkward. I mean, there were some awkward moments, but like I mean, it happens when you meet new people and stuff. But thank you for being so cool and coming on and talking with us, and we'll see everybody in the next one. For Jenna is going to be on episode 29, which will be next Friday, and we'll see you then. Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Much, guys.